under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Shelley, roll call.
Becky Curtis.
Here.
John Breckenridge. John Feigert.
Yes.
Mark Carr.
Here.
Ross Worth.
Here.
All right, that takes us to our first public participation with council. We do have one person that wants to speak with us. It's Susan Smith here. I guess not.
We can catch her on the rebound.
Okay. All right.
Scared her up. Yeah.
So if anybody else, this is public participation. If anybody wants to come and speak to us, please come to another one. Oh, yeah, I just got told he's not going to be here.
Oh, sorry.
That's why, yeah. Sign in and you have, is it 5 minutes? 10 minutes. All right. That takes us to the consent agenda, Shelley.
Item A, motion to approve the minutes of the March 2nd, 2026 regular session. Item B, motion to approve the retail liquor by the drink picnic liquor license for the Cameron Chamber of Commerce for their annual banquet being held on April 10th at the Cameron Regional YMCA.
Are there any requests to move the items from the consent agenda to the regular agenda for discussion? Okay. I will entertain a motion to pass the consent agenda.
So moved. Second.
All those in favor?
Aye. Aye.
All those opposed? It passes. 4 in favor, 0 opposed. That takes us to appointments.
We have no appointments. We do have 3 openings on the park board and 2 on the code board of appeals.
That takes us to the city manager's report. Scott.
Thank you. A city hall update. So the fire suppression vendor is still working on the water into the building for fire suppression and installing that system. Ted reached out and we spoke with some vendors. We wanted to try to find out if the windows and doors are resealable and reinstallable, which might make sense. Since we don't really have a quality evaluation on that, we are waiting on further investigation because, you know, if they're just installed and can be resealed, there might be a lot of cost savings there versus just buying all new materials. So we are waiting further investigation. We'll keep you updated on that. One of the big issues for staff at the front desk has been utility billings. Obviously, you know, January 15th to February 15th. And looking at today, and you know, these weather streaks, we've reviewed a lot of consumption reports. You know, just for public information, we haven't changed the rates, we haven't increased the fees. February, March typically are our highest consumption months and highest bills. And you know, there's a lot of stuff on social media, people coming in asking things. All of the people's usage is individually metered by their specific business or home. And so we just want to make sure they understand meters, when they fail, they typically stop reading altogether or they underread the consumption. They don't overread, they don't overassess you. And so then individually, they're basing this strictly on their usage, and penalties are based on a percentage here. So our 10% penalty for late. So if you have a problem paying, if there's a difficulty, come in, let our staff know. They could tier that out for 3 payment months and break it up. No? Shaking your head no. They're telling me that you could do a payment plan if it, you know, is a hardship. And so pay what you can and talk to our staff, because a 10% penalty on your entire bill, like today's, the deadline was the 15th. So that means all bills were due by the 9 a.m. deadline this morning. So if you came in today at 2 o'clock, you're past due, it's already been assessed. So it's important that's printed right on the bill. It's been that way here for years and years. But I guess there's a lack of understanding of the deadlines. But a 10% penalty if you have a $500 bill is $50. So we encourage people to get it in on time and to talk to our staff, let us know if there's a problem. The safety committee met, the Mrs. Smith that was on the request to speak, she's a Cornhill Street resident. And so we had a safety committee meeting following one of our staff meetings this week. And she has, some concerns because there's inadequate roadway on East Cornhill. A lot of semis drive in there and they can't get out. So they back over people's lawns, they take out infrastructure, they hit mailboxes, that kind of thing. So we looked at that, they requested that they put up no truck signs. So the committee recommended to do that to Public Works Director. So they'll put up a sign on each end of the street. If you drive through there and look at the alignment, it doesn't make sense that a semi driver would try to make it through there. But they do. So that's what that issue was about and the committee. The True VoIP phone system. So Phil was putting phones out today. They will be here Wednesday, starting with the police department and then to City Hall. We should be getting really close to activation. I don't know if Wednesday, they'll probably be live with you guys first. But so we're real close to having a solution. So thanks to the police staff and all the members of the team that have made that happen. There's a Genwick meeting tomorrow, just kind of some updates. MoCan is here
10
doing.
o'clock. I will text.
It's on my calendar, we always do that.
MoCan is doing a Brownsfield Grants Program training here Wednesday. You have to contact us if you want to come. It's mostly for public entities and cities and that type of thing. And then on Thursday, the Northwest Economic Development Group is in this building at 10 a.m. So those are all the updates I have.
Round table.
Tables here. Busy, lots of meetings.
Does anybody have any questions for Scott or City Manager?
Yep. One, Ted, any news on the, roof for the city hall?
When they're gonna get started?
Yeah, did they end up having any idea? Or
No,
start date?
it was all gonna be based on the weather.
Okay,
Because it had to be 40 degrees and climbing before they could even
Okay.
start. So
okay,
that's why
perfect.
we give them the deadline June 1st.
Right, I remember the deadline, but I didn't know if they had.
No, they did not give us this.
Okay, no, that's good. As far as the windows go, why can't we just have someone local look at it before you go out and try to?
And we did. We got I got a hold of Gary Mannion. He
Okay,
brought his window guy to look at it. He believes that the windows are the correct windows. He's gonna send an installer to make sure that they are installed correctly. He said they probably just need to be either brick removed, resealed, and new sealers around the windows.
okay, cause the engineers told us that the windows were all wrong,
Right.
Yeah.
that they were,
He said that those type of windows are in commercial buildings everywhere.
I figured.
And we're gonna remove the brick anyway.
We're gonna have to remove the brick. So
Yeah.
my thought is if they are the correct windows and they can be, resealed,
Oh, yeah,
we do the windows and the brick basically at the same time.
That's
Sure.
huge.
yeah, that'll
And
save a lot of
so then
time and
our
effort.
Exterior will be basically done.
That'd be
I've
awesome.
had some local people will reach out that wanna do the insulation and drywall inside. So
Perfect.
it'll be all local.
Awesome. Okay, thank you for that. And then as far as the, electric goes, I'm sorry, but we use the same excuse every year. Oh, there was more sub-zero days, there were more cold days. Truthfully, that wasn't this year. We had some really good warm weather during that time. And quite honestly, the people that I talked to, I did ask them specifically for usage, and they were all very similar to what they had been the year before, and yet the reflection on the bill was much higher. And I can tell you from personal experience, we did use more, but when I calculated it out, based on what it was last year, calculating out the hour wattage, it shouldn't have been up that much. So again, we need to look at something with this, and I'll let anybody else have.
So what do you think is the reason? Cause there's only so many variables there.
There's two reasons. We raised it, and we raised the initial fee. So they got double whammy, and then you throw in water, which wasn't, that one didn't change that much from the month before for me, but it was still up whatever percentage from last year. It was a substantial percentage from last year, and I used the same amount of water. And that's what I kept asking people was, tell me how much it is.
Right.
What is the difference?
I've had that conversation too with people.
Yeah, and now, so there's been a couple that were like, you know, they definitely used more. And as far as the penalty, yes, you know, I don't mean to be a jerk, but if you don't pay it, I mean, you have to expect you're gonna have a penalty. So that piece of it, I'm not as worried about. I'm more worried about the folks that are doing everything right and paying it, so.
What's the other fee for electric, if you're a commercial business or a large,
Demand.
the demand fee? A lot of people were concerned about the demand fee, but yet, at the same time, I just told them, talk to City Hall. You know, you may or may not need to be on a fee schedule where you have a demand fee, but that's for some specific reasons.
Right.
So, and that does raise it a lot.
Yes, it does.
Residential and small commercial do not
Do
get
not get
fees.
demand fee,
Right.
you know? But yet, the ones I would talk to, they would say, well, you know, I shouldn't get the demand fee. And I'm like, well, you have this kind of business, you know, let's consider that like tanning beds. Well, that is commercial, and that does use a lot of electricity. So,
Only use one tanning bed per month and you'll be good.
there you go.
See, in comparing a lot of the rates that I tried to over the last, between March of '24 to 10 of '25, there were two different rate changes in there, and then the main thing that I came up with is that everything went up by 25% at the same time. And when you have a town with 60% of the population that's below the poverty level, to raise utility bills across the board 25% is a tough pill to swallow all at once.
Don't forget our senior citizens either that are out there.
And it's a trickle-down effect. So if they can't pay, you know, when you're on a fixed income, you can't just come up with 25% extra. You know, for me personally, I used less electricity this month than I did a year ago, and it cost me $100 more. You know, so then we've got citizens that are trying to decide whether they're gonna eat or pay the utility bills this month. Some of them are having to get second jobs. You know, that trickles down to a lot of our local businesses, deciding if you're gonna eat out or not, you know, and it just, something's gotta change. Which is
You know, Ross, I kind of disagree with that because you can't tailor the city to be based on the 60% at the poverty level. You can't just lower all your services to the price where it's affordable at a very low price. It just doesn't work that way because we still have to make improvements. We still have to provide good services and hire good, responsible people. This isn't like Allendale where I grew up, where you just get by. That you have to have top-notch services here.
And I'm not saying don't raise the rates. I mean, we have to. Now we're married to the water. You know, we can't, there's not a whole lot that we can do with the water.
Well, but you know, even having this discussion is just kind of like a waste of our time because we had that discussion years ago and we decided to do the water. I don't know if maybe some of you were even part of that, but now we've got it and here it is. So what's the point of complaining about the water prices?
Well, it wasn't, I don't think that's.
No,
what
I'm not
it's supposed
saying that,
to-
no.
Yeah,
No,
I'm bringing
but-
up concerns from our citizens that is a big deal. I mean, if that's a waste of our time, then why are we trying?
No, don't do that. Concerns from our citizens is important. But I'm just saying, you can't tailor the cost of city services based on the lowest levels of income. Because if you have 60% of the people on that level, you can't just tailor that unless
But I
you don't want good services.
But if we bring in a consultant from out of town that compares the overall average, and our electric consumption per kilowatt hour is on the high end of things.
Didn't we do a rate study not long ago?
We did a rate study, and that's how we got these rates. These are the minimums that we can charge to continue to pay our bills, to pay our debt service, to pay for future capital improvements. This was the minimums.
And
That's
don't-
the cost
we
of
were
doing
following
business.
And don't we get an increase from the vendor that gives us the electricity? Don't they raise theirs about,
The
I was told 2% every year.
And the power factor of how much it costs in the grid for us to buy the whole city's power every month gets passed on to the consumer. So these are consumptive rates. They're, haven't lived here a long time. Some of our staff that lives in the outlying areas, their rates were, close to double on electricity of what ours are. The electric director is one of them. It's pay now or pay later. It's never gonna be less than it is today. If you make it less, the people down the road or in the future are gonna have to pay that gap to catch up. And that's not just infrastructure and the cost, it's like gasoline, my gas prices go up and I drive more, my consumptive use costs more. And I don't have control over how much the gas costs, but I don't like paying it. And, I don't know what the outcomes are for that.
Well,
long term.
government has one problem with, and you just brought it up. It's gonna be, we're gonna get stuck with it. They're gonna get stuck with it, either now or in the future. Instead of, let's focus on and see what we can get rid of that isn't needed anymore, or that doesn't need to be as high. My first thought when I saw this, when I started having people ask, was, I know where we're getting electric right now. Why aren't we out there researching to see if there's another electric company that we can get electricity from at a cheaper rate? I don't like the fact that I'm getting calls, I'm getting messages from seniors that are getting beat up. They have been here their whole life. They've either spent their money here, they've raised their kids here, they've done all these things. And luckily, I'm not in a situation where I have to go anywhere, but you know what? They are. And they've got a house paid for and they don't want to leave. But what is happening is potential that they are going to have to leave and try to find something cheaper somewhere. And I don't know that there's a whole lot of other places that are any cheaper. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying I'd like to take a look at it again and see if there's something we can do. Spreading it out over 3 months, you're still paying it.
So the easiest way to make your rates cheaper is to buy a whole lot more power. So, people don't like solar fields, they don't like generation projects,
Man,
they
that
don't
stuff
like
costs a lot of
marijuana.
money.
So if
for
you start
nothing.
putting in a lot of usage here, when we buy bigger bulks of power, it costs less.
And I understand what you said about the 2% increase, but I'm a numbers guy. So if it went up 2, we went up 25. And, if our expenses go up 2% and we raise the rates 5%, we've doubled our money. So if it went from 2 to 25, that's a lot.
So a lot of this is paying for previous debts that we still have to make the payments on.
Right.
And for consumptive use to be at what's most affordable today, you just going with the recommended low rate. Like you could have set it higher, which then down the road, those people don't get as big of a jump. It's a shell game. You can't make it less and expect people down the road to have the same low fees.
And I'll say one more thing in response to Dr. Carr's comment. I understand that you can't tailor everything to 60% the poverty of your town. However, if those people are the ones that are paying your bills and paying your income and paying your expenses, and they are looking at leaving because of what you have done, the business side of things kicks in and some money is better than no money, and what can we do to make it to where everybody's happy? And I just don't feel that right now is at that point.
I'll be honest with you, I'm not worried about happy. I'm worried about making it right.
It's popular to be an advocate for everybody, but you really can't. And if you look around, I don't know you could ever go somewhere else and it would be cheaper. Because there's a lot of places I know where it's much higher. So it's great to be able to say those words. You'll get a lot of pats on the back on Facebook, but I'm a realist. Let's stick with facts, and let's say we'll do our best, do like John said, say we can look into alternatives. We're already discussing things tonight about saving on expenses. And those are the things that we can do. They're very tangible. And, you know, I had a discussion with people because they're talking about the tax for the jail down here. Well, you know, we can look at our sales taxes and say, what's needed, what isn't needed. We can make those decisions, but we can't just say, let's wish for cheaper electricity, or let's wish for that, or, you know, it might make people feel like you're their champion, but I'm a realist. I want them to know we're doing our best, and there's only so much you can do. Everything is expensive nowadays, so.
Anything else?
Oh, yeah, sure. Yeah, I'll be finished for now.
Okay. Well, that takes us to unfinished business, and there is none, and which moves us on to new business. A full reading of Bill 2026-4. Shelley.
Bill 2026-4, an ordinance authorizing an amendment to the agreement by and between the City of Cameron, Missouri and Alliance Water Resources, Inc. for management and operations services.
I will entertain a motion to pass Bill 2026-4 on a second and final reading by roll call.
First reading.
Oh, first, we're gonna,
So moved.
oh, it's a full reading.
Second.
You gotta do the first reading.
Oh, that's right. I was thinking it was this, okay.
Begin at the beginning.
Okay.
First. Oh, we have a second.
Yeah,
Discussion.
Yeah, that's good, yeah.
Okay, discussion?
Sounds like a good deal.
I'm assuming that everybody was spoken with in time so that, they weren't shocked by this move.
So, Alliance came up and, presented the current staff that's impacted by this with all of the benefits, how transition looks for them as far as benefits. That, you know, they'll be working here in our facilities. They explained to them the corporate culture. So, we did that, I think last Wednesday is when we provided
So did
that.
everybody get, you talked to everybody, Zach?
Yep.
Thank you.
And Bart was there as well.
Thank you as well.
That it? All right. All those in favor of passing Bill 2026-4 on the first reading, say aye. All opposed? 4 in favor, 0 opposed. I will entertain a motion to suspend the rules and pass Bill 2026-4 on a second and final reading by roll call.
So moved. Second. I didn't even know what we were doing.
We're doing a full reading. Second.
She gave me the look.
All right. Discussion?
Well, the only discussion I have for that would be, should we wait and just make sure that we don't get anything from anybody for that? I mean, I think we can pretty much prove that this is saving money.
Yeah.
But I'm just saying,
I might just
this
add
is a pretty big thing.
It is.
that we did ask for a full reading because we're looking at an April 1 start date.
Yeah, I would love to be able to offer that. I'm just saying, I just think this is a pretty big deal that we're doing, and we decided to do it in 2 weeks. So I'm just asking, you guys can say no, just a thought.
I understand your thinking. I do. It seems to be kind of
It's
rushed,
fast.
but we had to decide whether or not we we're gonna hire people and get all their licensing. Or let,
Well, no, but I'm saying an extra 2 weeks isn't gonna hurt anything. That's all I was getting at. But I'm fine. I mean, if you guys wanna go forward, I can go forward. It's just a big change for the city, for our employees. So, That's it.
All right. Shelley?
John Breckenridge. John Biker.
Yes.
Mark Carr.
Yes.
Ross Worth.
Yes.
Becky Curtis.
Yes. All right, that takes us to a first reading of Bill 2026-5. Shelley?
Bill 2026-5, an ordinance authorizing the city of Cameron accounting staff to write off uncollectible utility accounts for the city of Cameron, Missouri.
I will entertain a motion to pass Bill 2026-5 on a first reading.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion?
So how old are these accounts?
All of the accounts on here have been inactive for at least 2 years. Some of them have been for longer. Staff's gone through them and looked at any that they think that they could still collect. But I will tell you that when we write these off, notes go on each of these accounts. So if next week anybody on here comes to get utility service put back in their name, they will be asked to put up a second utility deposit, which equals the amount that, of their bad debt. So if they come back, we will get the money from them.
Is there a collector that'd be interested in taking this list?
Thank you.
Yeah, that was mine.
Thank you. I got 3 of them right here. Same thing we talked about every time, every year
Right, we've looked
$2
at
million
collections before.
since 2019 that we've lost.
We've looked at collections before, and they do ask us to provide all of the legwork, all of the information that we don't have right now, as far as their locations, and then they take half.
And, you know, in a sense, I don't mind if they take half. I don't mind if they take it all,
Either some,
you know, because these are debts that are owed, and it's awfully easy to get by without paying your way. And that's not offered to us, you know, so,
$2 million, Dr. Carr.
yeah, I know,
Since 2019,
Yeah.
and in the state of Missouri, you can go back 10 years.
right.
So this only goes back to 19, and I have been asking for this for a lot of years, to the point that this year, I decided I was gonna go and look and find 1 or 2 or 3.
Well, we can all do
Companies.
that, don't you? Every time I look and I say, dirt ball there, then they ought to
Yeah, I
pay their
mean,
bill.
I've got
You know?
three names of places that we can try, and if the city doesn't think that they have enough resources, I'll be glad to call and ask. Every collection agency is gonna take something.
Yeah.
That's how they do their business. But, I mean, 50% sounds pretty fair. You can get,
$12,000 checks still.
So
I
how
mean-
much hassle is it to give them names and addresses, phone numbers?
I just have to look into it.
And is that not something they can just look on the computer and get it? Or is that a security problem?
The state of Missouri, made the determination several years ago that utility information is our closed records, so I don't know what we can provide. I'll have to look into that.
I know what you mean, because at the office, we would have to physically give them that information, and it was a pain, but
Right,
that, there was some people that were just, you know, deliberate about saying, I'm not gonna pay my bill,
right.
you know?
We do keep really good records. I had a customer this week that signed up for service that still had like a $300 balance. And they got all up, swore and yelled at our staff, and then I intervened and they said, this was a previous owner. It turned out to be the individual's spouse,
There you
right?
go.
And so we're like, well, if you don't pay it,
You don't get
you get
service.
shut off.
Yeah.
It's not personal, it's an old debt. I mean, that's kind of some of the issue is the $25,000 here isn't causing everybody's rates to be higher, but it's not helping.
but $2 million over, what, a 7-year period of time, right? No, 200, no,
I think
You
it's-
have a
200,000.
you have a wide variety of experience with other towns. What did they do with their bad debt?
It's hard because, some of those cities had, boat fees and things like that, and some of them were 8 $80,000 for one customer, right? And it's hard because what if they're deceased? What if they were an LLC that went under? It's really hard to track some of those things and actually collect. I'm not saying that, they did have the same discussions. Let's find a collector. But like Shelley says, it's hard depending on the state law. You don't need a release from the individual, but it's really hard to track down people that just leave. They have a lot of time and resources into that. And the collection rates, there's probably industry standards of what they collect on, like, oh, we typically collect 40% of your outstanding debts, or, I don't know what that looks like. But it's a hard decision. I think you have to weigh the total amount. The problem is, I think you're more likely to get stuff from 2 or 3 years ago than some of this stuff that's on there from a long time ago. It's not like we're gonna see all of it. I'm not saying it's not worth trying, it's a difficult, it's really challenging. For us, we have in place, it's recorded on their bills and the address, so when they come to do that, title companies are really helpful too, when we get those requests, when they transfer properties, we try to ensure now. That's probably why the number, it seems like a lot, but $24,000 is, it's not crazy amount.
That's true.
Some of those places, I've seen, fishermen and trawler boats that owe $200,000 worth of harbor fees, and it's like, that's just one account, right? I think I'm happy that it's not a lot more than this.
Could have had it.
I think it's always worth trying to
John, if you'd
get
like
what's
to give me
due.
that information, I'd be glad to
I got you.
to
Here,
look
But
at
it's
that.
on the bottom of it.
Research it a
Okay.
little
You
deeper.
can just have that.
Thank you.
There's a
Then I
reason that
added
those
wrong.
companies are in business. They
I'll look into it.
911.
Thank you.
No problem.
If you look at the addresses on these are all mostly apartments.
I wonder what percent still live in Cameron.
I did see several names on the list that are deceased.
That's hard.
Well,
to
they
collect.
don't have to go after that,
No.
but actually might be able to get the most money from it. Just saying.
That's your job.
It's hard because when
They're
these
not gonna
individuals
complain.
come in for service, we have record, and so we do try to collect all of that.
Well, that's good.
I'm kind of vacillating between, I know what a hassle it is to collect. I know how hard it is. I know how, it's not 100% real. You collect very few of these things when you get into actual collections. And, but then at the same time, it's almost like a carnival when there's a whole bunch of people saying, hooray, I don't have that debt anymore. And that's frustrating to people that they owe the debt, because they owe everybody else money as well, so.
It does cost. It ends
Yeah.
up costing
Yeah.
other people. We don't know how much.
I don't wanna create staff more work either, cause there's a whole.
I said I'll do it.
You'll do it,
I'm dead serious, because I do not like,
I don't either.
I
I
would love
absolutely,
to have you call some of these people.
oh, I'm not calling them. I'll put together the information you need to give to the collection agency. And I have called on collection calls.
I will follow up on these.
So should we not pass this tonight, write it off?
If you wanna go ahead and pass it tonight, and then I will give you an update at the second reading, what I found
Oh,
out.
okay, another reading, let's do
Because
that.
this one
Sounds
does not
good.
have two
Yeah.
readings.
I'm good at that.
All right, all those in favor of passing bill 2026-5, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Passes 5 and 4 in favor, 0 opposed. That takes us to our last resolution, resolution 2026-17. Shelley.
Resolution 2026-17, a resolution of the City Council of the City of Cameron, Missouri, to enter into a contract with A-Bay Construction, Inc. for the sewer utility extension project at Highway BB and Interstate 35.
I will entertain a motion to pass resolution 2026-17.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion.
I am still opposed to this. One is, some more information that I have found out about is the Blue Nile construction that this company used to be, was blacklisted in Kansas City. That's why they had to change names. So they were no longer able to do any work in Kansas City because of their performance. I don't know, it's very concerning, but,
Same owners?
I don't know whether the owners are the same, but I know that it said that they changed their name, so. I know I found some of the bidders that told me what the materials cost was gonna be, and this company is not making enough to even hardly be worth their while.
Well, I don't like the idea of voting against them just so we can pay more, with the assumption that we're gonna get better product or better service just because the fee is higher. That would be tough to pass off to the public.
Was this the one that the attorneys had an additional addendum they signed up? What was that? Did that have to do with any of these issues?
No, that was just kind of standard stuff. So most of these construction contracts use a standard EJCDC, which is like the more or less the engineering association. So we just have added an addendum for Missouri specific public contracting stuff. We add those addenda to contracts all the time.
Oh, I didn't know that had anything specifically to do with any of the concerns.
The other concern I had was that the contract times is between 150 days, so that's 5 months, to 8 months for completion. I guess that works with the current project. That puts it at the end of August to get it done.
Well, this is going to TDR, so,
Motor.
yeah.
Motor TA.
And so, they're starting to build, so they're gonna need that there. And I've known for a long time, it was gonna cost over $750,000 to get that there. And so the money's coming out of where?
No, that's coming out of your
The
utility.
utility department,
Sewer.
but then they recuperate the fees and all the new infrastructure that's paid by the developer on the project.
That's another thing, yeah.
With CID.
That's the cost of growing.
It's the cost of pooping.
Yeah, literally.
Yeah.
Thanks
I don't
for
know,
that.
just
Gotta
Spoken
do
like
it.
a true man.
So you have, our project manager, Scott Fleming's recommendation there. They do have all the bonds and assurances and all the requirements in place.
Ted, you heard anything about these guys, with the blacklisting? Do you know if that was true?
I heard of Blue Nile, I didn't realize that's who that was. I haven't heard anything about it, no.
Well, we didn't have a really good, taste in our mouth when Northwind Drive got fixed.
multiple people would have paid more for that one to be done right.
Well, they went and did other projects instead of finishing ours. Oh,
Just to make a comment on the Blue Nile. Blue Nile did your last sewer extension,
oh,
the one from the water plant. Again, that was Blue Nile. The one from the sewer plant over to Fox Griffin Road. Didn't have any issue. They were the low bidder. Didn't have any issues with it. Project went smooth, was completed on time, under budget. So I don't know about the blacklisting or the ABA, but just a little history on Blue Nile.
Right, yeah, I'd read that too, so, like I said,
One, by the way. I saw it's the engineer consultant. I don't know who Scott Fleming is.
He's our engineer with HDR. He's the person that does pretty much all the camera
Sewer
and
stuff.
water, sewer, infrastructure updates. HDR's kind of our,
So we pay him to tell us what we need to do?
he put together the bid package. So this is probably one of the last bid packets that goes out without the new format that the attorneys put in place. So you did a notice of award at a couple of meetings ago. In the future, you would get all that in one package. Instead of doing the notice of award and coming back and doing all this, it'd all be all as one item. And we don't really like doing it broken up like this. But it was put out that way in the bid packet, so we wanted to follow the structure they had put it out with.
Yeah, if you all remember, when we did the roof bidding, have that packet kind of had the information for bidders, the sample contracts, like all of it together. That's kind of how we're gonna start going forward as we continue bidding on other projects. So that kind of goes to Shelley's previous question about the addendum. We're gonna have kind of a more standard form contract that already incorporates those very specific requirements.
Okay.
I'm just curious, where does his fees come out of? Is it in the 700, 600,
No,
79, or do we?
so
have to-
they invoice us, they have a standard agreement with the city, and we have preferred rates with them. I mean, most engineering firms have clients they work with a lot, and you have preferred rates versus just hiring a firm to come design a sewer line like this. So we kind of get a larger firm better rates, and then they do so they help do the bid packet, they review the specs, they help do the project design. It's kind of all in shop. It's more palatable for us since we don't have an in-house engineer, we don't have the resources to do all that. None of this work is ever free or cheap. Just-
Cities get it all the time. They get
I definitely
ripped
knew it
off.
wasn't free, I just didn't know where he came in to get paid.
Yeah, I didn't know where he came in either. Well, I knew he didn't get paid in that 679, because that'd be closer to million quarter probably.
All right, any other discussion? All right, all those in favor of passing resolution 2026-17, say aye. All opposed?
I,
Nay,
Nay.
nay. Otherwise, I think it's a
Nay,
late
no.
aye.
3 in favor, 1 opposed. All right, that takes us to our second public participation. Anybody that would like to address the council, please come up to the podium. And be sure and sign your name. Phone number.
Yeah, Gary Sherman, Cameron. I just have a question. Does anybody know at this point, as far as the city hall restoration project, what percentage completion we are at this time compared to the deadline? And I wonder if that can't be reported each time.
We don't have a deadline, sir.
You know
There
what
is
you're
no
wanting?
deadline.
You're wanting one of those fancy thermometers that just go up and you just keep marking this up.
Yeah,
We
That
don't
would
have
be
it.
so
nice to have.
it's open-ended.
Well, and yeah, pretty much, because we're having troubles with the engineering firm.
Yeah, if we had that up and running, we would have
That's being discussed and worked with
forward a lot.
in the executive sessions.
Okay, well, assuming that gets worked out from that point forward, couldn't someone give us a periodic?
Probably could give an estimate.
I mean, everybody has a project plan that has the task in there that you tick off. I was a project manager for
Sure.
20 years. I know that you can have due dates and all those are met. And I
Yes, sir.
wondered how far along we were.
That's a good idea, and to be able to publish that could be done in the newspaper. As an article. But
actually, again.
it's hard to do though, if there's no progress being made.
That's
When you're stuck in the log jam with this engineering firm that won't give us the go-ahead to do anything.
Well, but we've started going around them.
I know,
Some
because
things.
that's what I was just gonna say,
Yeah,
yes,
doesn't need to have-
was because if it wasn't for the initiative of city staff and the go-ahead from the city council, we wouldn't be doing anything, because we finally got disgusted with it and said, we're gonna get some things done, because these are things that we can do. And then we started sorting out projects and saying, well, that doesn't need engineer, this doesn't need engineer. And then and plus the weather, in the middle of winter. So now we're at a point where we just said, well, we can redo the roof. So that was a big issue right there, was the roof. And now the inside plumbing and all, we can do those things. So we're kind of at a point where we really need to sit down and assess what projects we can't do ourselves.
The front,
The facade,
the bathrooms.
the bathroom,
The public
yeah,
bathrooms were gonna be changed, and
yeah,
that's gonna take a design to do that. And
Yeah.
the patio with the
yeah.
the facade that's coming off?
Well, because the brick facade was set right on the patio, there was no brick mold that was poured on that foundation. And so but this isn't brain surgery, this is what our construction people here, Gary's one of them, that came in and gave recommendations saying, this is something we do every day. We can build this stuff and if we only had to engineer a couple of things, then we could be well off in getting this done. And then, once that's done, then we could be able to say, yeah, here's where we are on this.
Well, I think we gave them a deadline in December, right?
Yes.
And so we had to kind of wait to see what they were gonna do with this deadline. And now we know, so that's why we're like, forget
Well,
this.
we gave them a deadline in November, they missed it.
Right.
And then everybody agreed to December, and they missed that one,
Okay,
so.
19th of December, yeah.
Well, and then we had
How many
discussion in the last
months?
executive session, but we can't say what it was
Right.
that we decided.
How many
Right, I
months
think,
is
yeah, I
our-
think any, like, if we're gonna talk more about, the engineering, that's probably best saved for executive session.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
we were just talking about moving forward
Right.
and getting
How many
something done.
months is the, new, Bank Midwest, rent, how long did we get that lease set up?
18 months.
So, my goal is 18 months.
Sure.
That's a good goal.
Yes, right.
I mean, I wanted it to be done in a year.
Oh, yeah.
When we did it the last time. But, yeah, engineers.
Well, if we're gonna draw a line in the sand, then it ought to be at least that 18 months.
Oh, I agree 100%. And that's our hope. I mean, every one of us up here, every one of them over there has been really trying hard to figure out things to help move it along.
And to
But-
know what percentage wise we are close to getting there each
Well,
month.
I believe there were like 3 phases, 2, okay.
Phase 1 is 100%.
Yeah, phase 1 is
Phase
100%.
2 is 0%.
Yeah.
Oh, my.
Yeah, it makes it pretty.
Except
So
for when we
are we mold free and are we bat free? We can't even say that.
You're not that free.
We are mold free.
We're not bat free.
But
mold
they
free, but
did say
that's-
when they came in and did the eradication, the bats, that until the roof was finished, they
Right,
could
that's
not
right.
finish
Well,
with the eradication.
and you can't kick them out in the winter.
Oh,
but we can.
You think we can? I didn't hear that.
I think Bill was in there the other day and there was one dive bomb.
Oh, there was. What's it doing in there? It's warm, isn't it?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, those rascals are using our heat.
So at least you know that phase 1's 100%, which was the demo, and then phase 2 is, so, yeah.
So I guess you could say 50%, but I don't think it's really 50%.
Once we get the roof
Not
on it, it'll
according
be
to
a,
the real
you know,
project plan.
percentage.
And we have a
Great
desire
question,
to be
though.
bat free too.
And a
Yes,
desire,
we
we
do.
all have that desire.
Big
Yeah, we do.
desire.
I don't know. I think it'd be kind of fun to watch them
Well,
out there.
I think staff can work with you, Ed. Get them a
That's
tax
right.
rank.
We did.
You did
Not
for
the
years.
Had 2 bounce off my door.
Oh, my
We can
God.
sell garden, fertilizer, and make some money.
Oh, yeah.
We'll put it in lipstick, right?
Mascara, I think.
Is it mascara?
Bat done?
Back
Yeah,
on
it is back down.
Okay, that's too much.
That was
Good.
fun.
I don't need to
I'm
know
just
that.
helping.
That's twice we've talked about that today. That was mentioned. Okay, where are we at?
Let's vote on something.
There, we were in public
We're
participation.
in
Oh, we
public
are.
participation.
Now we're gonna talk now.
I'm helping.
Okay, so is there anybody else? Not, we will move forward to comments from staff. Scott?
I think because everybody's here, I don't have anything to add myself.
Nothing on my end.
Lance?
As Scott already said, we've got a busy week of meetings this week and continued on with economic development. So I'll pass it on.
Ira?
I've already talked quite a bit about what we've been doing in parks, but I want to tell you that our application for Tree City has been approved, so we are official now. So we should be receiving our care package here pretty soon. I'm not sure what it consists of. Trees. I'm hoping a tree or a statue of Lance or somebody, maybe Ashley.
Ashley.
Yes, I met Ashley.
So that was kind of exciting, and then, like I said, in the previous meeting, we were planning on, winterizing all of our bathrooms, trying to get them up and going, it's kind of depending on the weather. We have set Arbor Day presentation in Rec Park for April 22nd, so. And I'll have, conservation agents come to the parks this year and speak to the kids and stuff, so. Luckily, one of them's my neighbor, so he was all for it, so. And the last thing is something big the park board's been doing is rewriting, new bylaws and stuff, so. They've been working on those, we got our first draft, and we'll be going over those. And like I don't know if I told you guys, but we'll take the Hydrick and, Matthias, make sure that they're all in code with what we need to do, and then we're gonna present them to the city council and see if you guys like them, if there's any changes we need to make, so. This park board is very open and honest about it, and so we wanna make sure everybody's on the same page with it, so.
I've heard good things.
Yeah.
I've heard good things
Yeah, so.
from internally. I've heard good things.
That's, other than just kind of, trimming trees and trying to get ready for spring for mowing, that's about all I got, so.
Thank you, Howard.
Yep.
Pat?
Street crews, they have been upsizing storm pipes on Sixth and Locust to try to help out with some of the heavy rain issues. And then also there's gonna be, they were 24-inch pipes, they've upgraded those to 30-inch pipes. And they're also doing that on 7th Street also, so hopefully we'll be able to help that area over in that, and over there, so. And I've just been comparing prices from cake seals to overlays and trying to figure out, stretch our money out, and we've had pretty good luck with 3rd Street, East 3rd, but it was done 10 years ago, so, and it's held up pretty nicely, so. That's all I have.
Harris Street.
Harris Street, yeah, looks like they have most of the, storm sewer complete, so moving right along over there too.
Chief?
We're looking at, doing some landscaping around the police department. It's kind of gotten out of hand. It looks, there were some things several years ago on the south side of the building that never got fixed. So we're going to, see what we can do with the landscaping around the whole building. And I want to follow up with what the city manager said about the VoIP phones. John, last time you had a question about how much it was. So, we got in contact with the highway patrol. They are actually going to their own VoIP system. So 3 of those phones that we ordered will be going back to them. So that'll cut down on that initial cost. So there could be more. But and they will be here tomorrow to set all the phones out, and then Wednesday they'll be back to hook them all up, so.
Sweet. Thanks.
That's all I have.
Thank you, Chief. Chief?
Hey, could we, real quick, could you, check with maybe, I don't know who's running Boy Scouts right now, but could you see if there's some way they could maybe come up and help out with the
Yeah,
landscaping?
we're looking at the options.
I figured you were.
Eagle Scout project.
Thank you.
It's been a really busy weekend. We run bunches of calls through the day and all night for that part. I'm still working with insurance companies on the downtown fire. Paul Reinhardt is my helper on that, but I get inquiries practically every day, insurance companies, so I just feed them the information. So I do quite a bit of that, and, keeping the trucks up, maintenance and things, and I actually, we started with our, kind of part-time help back several months ago, and I tend to get a few more, 1 or 2, every weekend, and we're working in the back and cleaning up and maintenance, helps for maintenance, and we're actually spending a little time doing training with the new guys, so, and that's helping a bunch. And I can say the last group of firefighters that I hired a year ago, they have excelled, very quickly, and it's gonna be a bunch of good guys. So,
Mike, why do you have to get involved with the insurance companies for a privately owned building?
I have to provide our reports that we file, because we file reports. Okay, we will do a report. We Reinhardt does that. We'll sit down, we'll put them together. He actually enters them into a national reporting system. Then we have our own, report that we fill out, because insurance companies are gonna request times and number of firefighters and that kind of thing. So we put that together, then the insurance companies will request that. And there'll be a description on there as to what we did, and what the outcome was. So, and they'll, basically the insurance company or the owner, most generally it's an insurance company, will just request that to file with their reports.
So it's just more paper for them, because they don't really do anything with it, do they? There's nothing, no recourse.
Yeah, it basically is what it does to an insurance company. It actually shows that, hey, they know there was a fire, but they know that actually the fire department was there and did their job.
Yeah, that's what I thought. It's just kind of a waste of time for you guys, but you.
And it looks at the times, because all of our times are logged through our dispatch system, through the dispatch up front. So we can look at our times and see when the call came in, when we actually received the call, when we took the call, when we got there, when we left, and that kind of thing. And all that data that we keep, that all goes into our reporting system, and at the end of the year, we pop out. I have Jordan Azel, which is our computer programmer.
Yeah.
He actually pops out all the graphs and charts and things for us, so we can actually go back and look at that data on a day-to-day basis, to see how it will, see what happened.
At what point in time are they gonna be required to clean that up?
I'm not into that. That's gonna be Spencer and city staff's.
I'll ask that later then. Thank you.
Okay, you guys in the back?
Just a quick update on Great Northwest. We're still waiting, ready to go. Paul continues to flush the line and keep the chlorine residual up. Again, from an operations standpoint, we're ready to go. We keep hammering on engineers and contractors to work on the punch list. We did get, we're working with DNR now that they've, required some additional SCADA for operation, and Paul's worked with them on that, and so hopefully we'll get that permit to dispense here sometime soon, but,
On that subject, did you get the email today?
I did.
So DNR asked who the permit needed to go to, so that means we're close.
Yeah.
I mean, if they're asking who they're gonna send it to, that's a pretty good thing.
Why would they not have that information?
Well,
You fill out an
because there's so
application
many,
for a permit.
there's so many
$55
players.
million, you
Yes,
should know where it's
have a
going.
name.
Where you've got Great Northwest and Wholesale Water Commission is an entity in its own.
Yeah,
But Alliance is running it, so they're gonna need a copy of it. I told them the city of Cameron needed a copy of it for our files.
We're the member.
Maysville needs a copy of it for their files, and so,
It's kind of like NATO. If we're not in there, it's not getting paid.
send it to Mayor Curtis.
So anyway, they keep a lot of things at us, we keep knocking them back to them, so, hopefully, like I said, hopefully we're getting close to moving some water, like I said, as far as operations go, we can start right now, so. And then Keith, I'll let you talk about wastewater plant.
Wastewater right now, we have started UV up, 2 weeks early, just to make sure everything is running where it needs to be. I will start a test tomorrow morning to make sure our residual is where it's supposed to be before April 1st is our start date on that for the year. So we'll be ready to go for that. Other than that, we're waiting on a couple pumps to come in, and everything else is just maintenance.
Okay, thank you.
Can I make a comment on the water line?
Yeah.
Our bulb is ready to go. So when they get the go from DNR, our end's ready to go. I'm gonna flush it this week, make sure the valve works and everything. Now, stepping back a little bit, when we put it in service full time, there's gonna be some time there that it's gonna take to iron out all the problems with that thing. Making sure it opens when we want it to, closes when we want it to, all that kind of thing. But for the most part, it's ready to go.
Okay, thank you. Shelley?
I just wanted to remind everybody that tomorrow's St. Patty's Day and there'll be a parade, starts at 4:03. And, that Wednesday, the 18th, City Hall will close early, it'll close at 3 o'clock for the city clerks, and I will be doing a team building.
that's what.
Oh, good.
So we'll close the office just a little bit early. That they'll all be there. So you just have to knock on the door to get in.
So like weightlifting and
Actually,
stuff like that.
Yeah, that's.
Yeah, it's just not
gonna work.
Goat yoga.
Hey Shelley,
Yeah, the goat, yeah.
having said that, we'll have one of the restrooms open at McCorkle Park. One will be closed completely down, but one will be available tomorrow
Oh,
for
okay.
stuff.
All right, that takes us to comments from the council.
Me,
Yes.
I don't like sitting down here all by myself. I'm gonna suggest
scoot in.
that. I should have, I know. I thought you guys would just scoot down, but that's a whole nother story.
That's more work.
I talked about those buildings up there on Third, and, so here lately, that wall just fell out and put bricks out into the street again. And I always said that from the beginning, that's dangerous. Those pillars standing up there, the brick after it all been burned out, I thought this could fall over, and sure enough it did. So I'm suggesting that we get on the stick, and at least knock that stuff down. So, and push it in. Why not?
Because,
Private property.
yeah,
No, but this is a safety concern.
I agree, but it's
Yeah.
still private property.
I don't care.
We
I
should
mean,
talk to him and see if we could talk to him.
the attorney says, don't listen to that guy. I'm the guy that would run, I'm the guy that ran across the interstate to get a dog that had been hit and carried across. Because I'm gonna do the right thing even if it's not legal or politically
Well, don't
correct.
tell us about it, just go up there at
Just
2
come
o'clock
up
in the
and check
morning.
us.
To get-
Do your thing.
to
Bring
give
my
you
red.
a little info.
Yeah.
So 2 Fridays ago, the insurance company had picked a contractor. And so Spencer got a letter out that day, so
Yeah.
they could mobilize last Monday. Well, the contractor that got it had a sub, and that sub didn't show.
That's a bummer.
Yeah, so that's why it wasn't knocked down last week, is because
Yeah.
cause I talked to him 4 times on Friday. And he said, we are mobilizing once we get that letter, because they have to do a wet demo, because they don't know about asbestos, and they have to
Right.
send it to Nori and DNR, and she had to give the green light, and, yeah, or not Nori, Sonora.
So what's plan B now?
The insurance is still find another demolition contractor.
Well, let's give him the name of the guy that did the other ones there
Did,
with the poker. I like that little poker. He got all those down. All he did was just poke them. And it wasn't like anything sophisticated. He just knocked them down a few bricks at a time.
Yeah.
And, so anyway, I'd like to see it cleaned up. If nothing else, the bulk of it just knocked into the hole and the bricks and all cleaned up off the sidewalk. And we've got a parade that goes right by it. So that looks really bad.
I talked to our insurance rep today, Jeff Arp, and he said not to move the barriers or.
Oh, I understand, and I know you guys would cringe if you saw me out there with my rake, and I was.
actually, you can do whatever you want to.
If I wasn't on city council, I probably would, so.
Where your heart at?
Yeah, so the other thing was this. Okay, and this is something we've talked about before, but out at Love's Truck Stop, there's all of this trash that blows from there.
I got one thing on that too.
Yeah, go ahead.
So I went out there, I had to go, it was 2 weeks ago. We have talked to them, as in Spencer and Stoney.
Yeah,
And I went out there one day and I was just going out to pick up lunch, and they had 6 people out there and 2 trucks out there in Early's Field.
picking up
stuff up.
trash.
So they have heard they've heard us, and they are picking it up. Is there an enormous amount? Yes. But they are doing it.
Well, and that's not the solution. I mean, that's okay if they do it. But, the solution is put up a 6-foot tall chain link fence on the side of their property and let all the trash blow into that fence. Rather than clear across the road, Bob Griffin Road, clear off to the other fence and then leave it in the weeds and bushes there. So if they did that, then that would be I'd be content with that, and that would solve the problem. And it would make it a lot easier for them. There'd be some expense in the fence, but it's all their junk, and they should have predicted that. Is that commercial on the other side of that? So you can't.
But again, it's private property. So we
Yeah,
can
so what-
wish
all we want, but unless there's a code for it out there.
That's what I was gonna ask next, is there a code that
I don't
you can't
think
do
so.
that?
No,
So I guess the only thing you can do is cite them for littering or trash in the neighborhood until they get the idea to say, I don't wanna mess with them anymore.
but then we'd have to prove that we know 100% that it came.
Well, I think you could by what trash is over there. You could say, look, this is all the Arby's and stuff like that.
Could, maybe.
Maybe.
Yeah, I'm just thinking,
That's
going down the
another
road,
thing that
people are
you can
throwing it
do
out.
when you're out collecting. Just go pick up trash when you're over there.
I did see a citizen
I will.
on
Okay, just
Wednesday picking up along Bobette, and it looked like she had, at least four trash bags full, so she'd been out there for a while.
I know, I just hate to see citizens having to do that because it's a commercial business and they can afford to pick up their own trash. So I'd like to see citizens picking it up somewhere else, if they're so inclined. That's all I had. I just keep seeing that and I get tired of it.
Maybe we could talk to the hospital and see if they'd be willing to sell it from Children's Health.
I doubt it.
They sued us.
I know, that's what I said.
You talk to Joe.
Yeah,
Joe, we got a
Joe wouldn't
project.
talk to me.
He's the grand marshal.
Yeah, I know. Okay, that's all I had.
All right, Russ.
To echo what that gentleman said, that was also a concern of mine about City Hall, was, I know we had the plan and then we didn't have the plan, but, do we need to discuss the possibility of coming up with project managers? I know it's a lot to now take on ourselves, but it seems like, we got the roof taken care of, so, we can wait until the roof is done. But if we do this one at a time, it's gonna take forever. And, we know that there's foundation cracks that need to be looked at. Multiple trades can be working there at the same time, and I'm just concerned that if we do the roof, and all the brick ends up having to come off, chances are it's probably going to have to come off, then that changes the way that the cap is put on the roof, and, are we gonna do this piecemeal without a plan? And I think that's gonna come back to bite us at some point. So.
We already paid
We
for a
paid
plan?
for it.
Well, I
Oh, we didn't
understand
get a
that, that's
plan?
why I said it's where, I know that where we're grouping, but that's just the concern.
And I did have a local contractor reach out to me about digging the foundation up and putting a membrane on the basement wall to seal it up. And so we got lots of local people wanting to
Yeah, absolutely.
jump in.
And the French drain on the outside of that.
I don't know, I think the foundation drain's still good. I really do.
So you don't need one outside wall.
Besides the engineering, what's really holding us up is even on new construction, you don't wanna do anything inside until you're dried out. So if the elements and you tear all the windows out, brick out, you can't really get ahead of yourself till that's resolved. So I think once we know the windows and the bricks, been said it has to come out, so it makes sense to
That's
do
why I
all
say
those
we-
things.
That's why I say we put it out for bid for the windows and the brick all at once, and let's,
Yep, I agree.
the outside will basically be done.
Do you have specs on the brick though, on how you're gonna put the brick back?
He did a lot of
We're just
research
gonna
on
do that.
brick.
We're gonna do fired brick, just regular brick. I mean, you guys can decide what.
But that wasn't the problem, was it? Wasn't that the brick was coming down and there was no support at the bottom?
We'll have to put a brick ledge on
Yeah,
the front.
yeah, or a footer or something down there, okay.
Anyway, that's just a concern, it's gonna take a long time.
I know piecemealing, it sounds like it's gonna take a long time, but we're getting more done than waiting on the
Right,
engineers.
right.
It'll go fast once we're dried in.
Good, okay, cool.
All right,
I don't have anything.
really?
I know. Do you want me to come up with something?
No, that's fine.
You guys are doing a great job.
All right, well, I really don't either. Just thank you for coming, guys, and I will entertain a motion to adjourn into executive.
So moved.
for attorney-client communication and notice. John Figert.
Yes.
Mark Carr.
Yes.
Rockport.
Yes.
Becky Curtis. John Lee.
Gary, you're the man with the plan. That's what it takes. You're gonna be the man that does all the legwork, puts the marks on it. Yeah. We
So you can still call me.
Yeah.
I'll try to get it out.
I'll see you.
So we're working on it. Well, right now.
We go to practice.
We're done.
It's an industry group. It's all. Jim will always.
We got a nice
Matter of fact, we're still working on. I've got one. Weekend's done, just got mine. So I just got to know.
It's gonna happen. That's right.
Oh, yeah. We didn't say that.
I don't know anybody.
Are you good?